A quick update. I would just like to say that I do in fact no longer despise the tenors. They aren't actually bad people, and it was just me with my self-conscious issues. I'm only saying this because I have the relaying suspicion that they know about this. Probably not though. Now onto the actual video. Hello everyone, and how's it going? Not that I can actually hear you, but I'm just gonna pretend I can hear you. Like this video if you're having a good day, and like it if you're having a bad day as well. It makes sense if you don't think about it. I never thought that I would be a carrier of revenge, but my views have changed due to somewhat recent events. I'm just gonna make up names so no one's actually harmed with this video if it's found. Anyhow, where was I? Let's say I'm friends with someone named Brian, who despises this kid named Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, why not? Samuel L. Jackson is a bitch, not the real Sam. But no one knows it because he constantly only fucks with my friend Brian when there are no people around. And Brian here has a bad history with the school board, so they don't actually believe anything he says. It wasn't too bad until Samuel began to spread awful rumors that Brian had raped his girlfriend. He did get in trouble for kissing her, but by no means did he even touch her sexually. This was agitating, but this wasn't the icing on the shit-flavored cake. Alright, I just don't act out of nowhere, at least I don't think I do. And there's some serious stuff about to be talked about in this video, so I'm gonna avoid using any sort of comedic pictures for this part. A dear friend of mine who I grew very fond of in the months I knew her. God, I guess I shouldn't use her name, but it feels disrespectful not to. I guess I'll just say nothing about a name. Well, she did something that no one should ever do, and ever turn to. She committed suicide, and it struck the school, and everyone who knew her was hit pretty hard. She seems like such a peppy friend who was always happy and excited. No one expected her to actually be going through some awful shit. Well, after she killed herself, Brian was pretty badly hit. He was very close to her as well, but closer than I was. They were actually getting romantically involved. He was pretty badly hit by this, like the hardest out of anyone I know. I didn't really know Samuel was a sick fuck until I heard something that was too far. Out of nowhere, I was talking to my friend Brian, and he seemed really down and angry. He had told me Samuel had said something unspeakable. He had said that her suicide was his fault, and that he had killed her. Look, I've always been one not for revenge, but I used to be known as someone who could forgive people that had wronged awfully. But this man was... How do I explain this man? This man was one of the reasons I believe that there are some people that, if there is a hell, if there is a karma, would suffer because that was too far, and all of my friends agreed that it was fucking awful to say something like that. To everyone listening to this video, no one ever say something that far, because words like that can do more harm beyond belief. Anyhow, this was in January, and where are we now? Yeah, almost a year later. Why are we acting now, you ask? Because he's now in our school again. Brian came to my Discord friend group and began to chat about Samuel and how he was going to harass him throughout the year. Everyone was a bit iffy at first, but then Brian told everyone who was online about what had happened earlier. People began to jump on board quickly, and people even began to talk of cyberbullying because they found this asshat's cringeworthy, DeviantArt, and YouTube. Someone in our group was still iffy and was spouting some truth about how this will hurt Brian's already endangered future. We all agreed that we wouldn't cross the line of cyberbullying as well, and may just troll him online or something. We began to organize into a Discord call about what we should do. Maybe 10 or more of us were in it at once, and as I predicted, it was chaos. And we began to narrow down actual ideas maybe 10 or 20 minutes later. There were comedic ideas, and then there were real ideas. But then someone brought up recording, and what started up as kind of a joke turned into an actual idea as the gears in my head began to turn. I pitched my idea to the group, and before I knew Sam was a douche, we had actually become somewhat friendly to each other. I may dare to say even acquaintances. Anyhow, now that he's in the same school, but a grade under me, I barely get to talk to him, which is good. Though we are both in pre-AP geometry, same hour and everything. Recently, he's been asking if I still draw Meowth all the time, and you know the answer to that. As well as, he always asks if I'm still obsessed about being royalty of Sealand, the best country in the world. Maybe I'll talk about that later. Anyhow, he still thinks we're friends or something. I'm in chemistry with Brian, and he's currently my lab partner. It's told that he is quite the trigger for the word Brian, and if I subtly bring him up, he'll tell me the random lies he's been spouting around for years. With that background knowledge, here's the plan. Alright, so Samuel gets to class rather early, so I think if I go straight to class, I'll be able to talk to him. First, I'll start off with something about Sealand, and then ask how he's doing, and he'll reply casually. Anyhow, I'll bring up how stressed I am with homework, especially chemistry. I'll say something like, though I'm glad Brian, my lab partner, will be doing some of the work, I guess. If that doesn't pull his trigger, I'll pull something like, hey, do you know him? Or, I don't know him too well, and I really hope he's an efficient worker so I don't bomb the class. That will get him. He'll show how he hates Brian, and due to be known as someone who spreads rumors about him constantly, he'll say them all to me, but surprise, I have my phone with me the whole time, and I'm actually Brian! I'll pull out the mask and reveal I'm Brian the whole time! I mean, just joking. I'll actually have my phone recording the audio the whole time. You see, a lot of people don't believe Brian on anything, but with proof that this kid isn't innocent, we will have some leverage. It isn't legal for a teacher to record a student without permission, but it's not illegal for a student to record another student without one knowing. We won't go straight to the school board, but I'll likely go to a teacher anonymously and bring it up. My friends have connections to the system, and I'll likely start with a friendly teacher that knows his or her stuff. I'll ask about someone who said an awful thing and no one believes the victim, but what if they have proof? They'll get curious and I'll bring up everything about everything. I don't know how exactly it'll work out, but this plan is still in beta. Though, hopefully it will actually work. I honestly believe this kid Samuel shouldn't get away with this because everyone thinks Brian lies all the time. I honestly believe that this kid Samuel shouldn't get away with every little lie because no one trusts Brian. He's a pathological liar and he doesn't suffer any consequences about it. It's about time karma bites him in the ass. Now that you know the whole story, do you think revenge is a best dish served cold, or a best dish served on certain circumstances, or a dish not meant to be served at all? I used to agree with option C, but I've changed over the last couple of years, hence my edgy nature. I've learned that the world isn't a place full of rainbows and gumdrops, and that there are awful people in it. I believe punishment is the only way for some people to learn. God, it's so odd to say this. Am I even the good guy anymore? I'm not the bad guy, right? Well, I'll follow through with this anyhow. If worse comes to worse, we just don't do anything and I go back to not interacting with this kid ever again. I don't want to physically beat him up or mentally fuck with him myself. Action made by the staff pushed by me and my friends is the only thing I can do in this situation that doesn't feel like I'm going too far. I just hope that it works and it won't end up with some fucking slap on the wrist.